Johnny Carson, explaining that. In fact, he had a toy gyroscope, playing with it. There's he talked with me. You'll see that if they pull up my site, gogyropower.com. You'll see where he's got a gyroscope. The energy in the magnetic field are gyroscopic particles. They spin at c and they go forward at c. That's Einstein's equation of E equals mc squared. I am converting mass into energy on a 100% conversion process. Now that's why the power brokers go ape in trying to stop this technology. It'll make all obsolete as an energy source. Now anybody ought to know that this will start the Industrial Revolution all over again, because everything from fertilized to steel is tied to the cost of energy to this very day. And right now, and in fact, the world is in a great economic collapse because of the fact everybody's been fooling with oil, and they hadn't stood up behind this technology. It's up to the people to get behind this, and I know that God's touching good people at this time to bring them forward, just like this letter I read to you today that I got from my friend Joe. It's an email from these people becoming the first of the year. So I know it's going to happen. So you go ahead and ask me any other question you'd like.
Well, Mr. Newman, I wanted to know what makes this technology so important to the world? Why is this technology as important as it is? Okay, we know that it could take the place of oil, but tell us of the numerous applications that this technology could be applied to.
Yeah, because see, you can just imagine a world that there's no pollution on the earth. There's no pollution at all from this technology. It's non-explosive, and you have something that's converting mass into energy on a 100% conversion process. Mm-hmm. It's the same energy that prevails the entire universe. The energy that prevails our galaxy is an electromagnetic field. The same thing that comes from magnets that they say the lines of force are imaginary. This is E equals mc squared on a 100% conversion process. And it's ready for mass production, and it'll do away with pollution. It'll make the cost of everything go down to zilch. When you have an energy source that you can produce anything that you wish to, and it doesn't cost you a dime. Now you think how that's going to make the Industrial Revolution all over again, because everything is tied to the cost of energy. And this will do away with that. Mm-hmm. So it'll make the Industrial Revolution all over again, because right now the cost of energy is so high, it's making everything cost so much that people are quit buying. That's what's been making an economic collapse, is the bubble busted. Because it was running one way while the energy cost of oil, for example, was getting up at $5 a gallon. That's when the bubble bursted. Now, what the power brokers do, they immediately drop the oil price down, tried to fix it. Well, they hadn't fixed it yet. Now, they're holding their breath, hoping they'll fix it. But there's a lot of people who've lost their homes, they've lost their jobs, all over the world because of this economic collapse from greed. The same people who fought this technology. Now, it's time for the people to wake up and stand up for themselves. That's the magnitude of this, and it has no negative to it. For every job that is displaced, it'll create 1,000 jobs, because there'll be new companies that will start. Imagine with this technology, you can go out, young people can go out in the middle of a desert and start a whole new city. Why? Because you can take salt water and convert it into fresh water. You can pump it from the sea, converting it into fresh water. And now it's known that you can do this, but the cost of energy is too great. That's why people don't do it, except for real rich people. This technology will cause the world to be a most beautiful place, because you won't be contaminating everything, you won't be polluting everything. That's why I've stood like a tiger fighting for humanity, is that I've made a vow standing on a mountain in Puerto Rico, and I still stand saying the same thing. Now, I get angry because I know all the people that are suffering around the world because they don't have this. And those people don't understand, but I was in an orphanage home when I was a kid. I still remember that like it was yesterday. I know what it's like to be on the bottom of the barrel, and you're scratching for every little portion of a penny that you get. And I have compassion for other people when I know that power brokers are fixing it so they keep them down. That's what drives that fire that God put inside of me.
Well, let's talk about some of the applications that your device has. With this gyro generator power source, you can power up individual items such as an icebox or a washing machine or an automobile.
Yes, you can run everything, anything that uses power can use this technology. Mm-hmm. Now just think about it, that if you start having a power source that you can put in an automobile and you can run it anywhere you want to without oil. All right, let's just say if you took a house and you made this technology go in every washer, every dryer, icebox, everything that you have in your home, electric lights, anything, it runs off of this technology. Now the generator that has to run that then becomes smaller and smaller as you convert all these other devices in the home running off the same technology that the generator is. Mm-hmm. So the generator will become smaller and smaller because all the conventional motors run off of current. You know why they do that? Because they think the magnetic field comes from the current. And this was a stupid mechanical mistake made way back in the 1800s and 1830 when there was a guy named Ostrich who was going around in Europe telling young students there was no connection at all between magnetism and electricity. And what he would do is take a wire, and then he'd take a magnet and put it at right angles to it, and then he would have the students make a circuit and show that the current was going through it with an amp meter, and show the current was going through it, and the magnet wouldn't move. It'd stay at right angles to the wire. Well, one day he had the student setting it up, and the student set it up backwards. Now, the student put the magnet parallel to the wire, and then Ostrich made the connection, and immediately the magnet swung at right angles. Well, that shook up the entire scientific world, because all of a sudden he had changed his mind and was then saying that indeed there is a connection between magnetism and electricity. And from that, Faraday built the first motor generator. In fact, the Queen came to see it, and it was so tiny and put out such a little bit of power, she said, "What good is that?" And Faraday was smart and intelligent, and he said, "Ma'am, what good is a newborn baby?" And then the Queen understood, and so she put financing behind his efforts, and he's now been recognized as the father of this, anything that we got done. But they still hadn't mastered all of it. God's hadn't been mastered. They're gyroscopic particles. It's the same energy that prevails in the universe. It makes all the planets move. That's why I've had Dr. Smith, who was Chief of Space Environment Branch at Huntsville, Alabama in 1977. And he was so powerful, they did not shoot a rocket without his permission. He kept the weather all over the world. And they didn't shoot a rocket unless he gave them the okay that the mathematical odds were when they came back, the weather would be good in the area they were supposed to land at. If he said no, they didn't shoot. That's how powerful he was. Well, he totally endorsed my work and said that the world should be behind what I was doing because it would have such a significance upon the earth. And he tried to get people behind it. In fact, he wrote me a letter finally after about 2 or 3 years and said, "I'm getting as frustrated as you." He said, "All these people are closed-minded." But he sent me some work done by another man who studied sunspot activity for 30 years, trying to show it was a gravitational effect. After 30 years and he was getting ready to retire, he said, "I am wrong. It's not gravitational. If it was gravitational, it would be a constant. Either the planets, as they go to run around the sun, would always produce them, or either it always reduce them." He said it's the opposite. Sometimes the planets induce sunspot activity on the sun. sometimes the planets redo something.